because I'll be your reviewer on the application, you have to demonstrate to me that the machine will last a number of years. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is to provide me some documentation, preferably from a manufacturer or a remanufacturer who has taken the machine apart and either replaced the worn out parts or at least has taken measurements to prove that the parts still have service life in them. These older turbines typically only had a 15 to 20 year life to begin with, and by now they're 15 to 20 years old. So before I will go to your banker and say you got a good project, because I don't want the bank to invest in a used piece of equipment that's going to break down in a year, you do have to do that little extra work, and you also should want to do that for your own sake. I commonly tell folks that you really don't want to go out and buy a 20-year-old Chevy without a mechanic looking at it, right? Wind turbine is really no different. So be careful what you do with used pieces of equipment. He received $22,500 from the loan program at 0%, half of the cost, on a 14-year note. His turbine has not performed as he expected. And a lot of that probably goes to the actual work that was done in the remanufacturing stage. Another one of my favorites is Whelan & Sons up by Winthrop. This is a lumber or a wood, hardwood production facility. Engineer runs and owns this place, and what they did was they had this mill, and all they kept on doing was collecting all the sawdust. And of course, as you may know, if you want to dump the sawdust in the landfill, you got tipping fees for it. As a way to try to avoid the tipping fees, they were just storing it on ground in like a mountain of sawdust. As their land got more and more consumed with the sawdust, they tried to find an option of getting rid of it without just throwing it in the landfill. So what they came up with, and this has been duplicated now a couple times, is they installed a boiler in their facility to burn the sawdust. More than burn the sawdust, the boiler would create steam. They would take the high pressure steam off of that boiler, send it through a turbine, turbines connected to a generator, make electricity for the plant. With the low pressure off the backside of that turbine, they would send that to the kilns to dry the wood. So it's a complete cycle of taking the wood from a log to sawdust back into the drying part within the kiln. So you got that complete cycle. Very excellent project. Cost them $1.3 million on a 7-year note. They had a lot of trouble up front getting this thing to work, and that's somewhat described in the case study. So if you're thinking about doing this kind of thing, it's certainly the kind of project that you're going to want to have an engineer help you design. There are many, many more case studies out on our website, and they continue to be written as more and more projects come through. So I encourage you to go out to our website and look through them. That's going to wrap up my presentation for now. We've got a couple minutes left for questions, if anyone would have any.
Is funding available for the installation of geothermal systems?
Geothermal is not an eligible technology. We follow the technologies as written in Iowa code, and geothermal is not a part of Iowa code. Now, like I mentioned earlier, do not confuse ground source heat pumps as being geothermal. Here in Iowa, we don't have geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is what you find out west when you see the geysers coming up out of the earth. It's the heating of water underground into steam and then escaping. We don't have a lot of that here in the Midwest. What you're probably referring to is ground source heat pumps that we've referred to earlier as being tremendous efficiency projects, but not renewable. Yes, in back.
Okay, the initial application, what sort of requirements as a homeowner wants to apply for a small
first let me mention that you can download the application from our website. And there are instructions on how to fill out the application also on the website, as well as the program guidelines. Depending on the type of project, there are different kinds of requirements. If you're just going to put in a small residential system, whether it be a wind turbine or a solar system or a corn stove, the requirements aren't very stringent. There is no site assessment required for those kinds of projects. I asked you to give me documentation of what it is that you're proposing. You can't just tell me that you're going to put in a photovoltaic system without telling me what kind of panels you're proposing, what kind of inverter, if you're going to have batteries, what kind of batteries, if you're going to interconnect to the grid, whether it be a PV system or a wind turbine. You have to have a letter of intent from your utility company to demonstrate to me that you've actually talked to them about interconnecting, because that can really be the long time period required to get one of these projects through, is the interconnection. If you haven't talked to the utility company by the time you've made the application, I'm not interested in reviewing your application, because if you are approved for a loan, you generally have 90 days to spend the money. If you can't spend the money in 90 days, your file will be withdrawn from the active files. And so if you're not to the point where you're ready to build, wait until you are ready before you apply. But I require the specifications of what you're proposing. If you're going to consume the power yourself, not sell it to the utility company, I need records of your utility bills that can demonstrate that you can actually use the power that you are proposing to use. You have to tell me what the costs are. A lot of times it will be a turnkey arrangement. If it's a turnkey arrangement, just submit the quote from the vendor and then lay out what the benefits are. I think otherwise the application's fairly self-explanatory. It's only a couple pages long, but you do have to include supplemental information when required. Yes?
On the biodiesel, could the proposal include selling it as well as making it? Cost putting underground storage tanks, pumps?
No, you actually have to make the product.
No, but I mean both, if you put a combo package together.
I would only look at that portion that is making the renewable energy. Okay. In a biodiesel, more than likely you'll hit, well, now with $1 million, perhaps you can reach that easily. But in the past, no one has a problem on an ethanol or a biodiesel plant of reaching the maximum cap quite quickly without having to add extra projects on. Likewise, I just had an application quite recently from a person that wants to put in a PV system, and included in their application a bunch of energy efficiency upgrades. They're replacing the windows, putting more insulation in, all wonderful things. And anyone that's here, it's my belief that your best dollar spent is on efficiency. Spend your first dollar making your home as efficient, whether it be appliances or insulation first. Your payback's always going to be faster. And then build your renewable. And if you do the efficiency things, your renewable shouldn't have to be as big, and it's not going to cost you as much anyway. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes, Ed.
Can I give you a shameless plug?
Give me a shameless plug. I don't know if we've got time for you, though.
This program is probably one of the most successful renewable energy programs that the state has ever done. And if you're thinking about using this, this thing is put in place by legislation, and they're running lower on money. And boy, if the state wants to put some effective money into renewable energy, this is a good application. So talk to your legislator, your local legislator, or your senator, your rep or your senator about this program. You'll be helping yourself and other folks that are wanting to use this program.
Right now, the program has pretty much expended its allotment of money. As the program's been up and running now for 12 years. It has actually grown from the $5.9 million initially to it's up near $8 million being revolved in the program. that extra money principally came in the early years of the program when there weren't a lot of loans being made, but there was $6 million earning interest. So right now, I've got all of the nearly $8 million being revolved. But what that does mean is that there's about $100,000, maybe a little bit more than $100,000 coming back every month in the form of repayments. So in particular, if you're a small project, if you're seeking small amounts of money, there's never a problem. If you're seeking $1 million, I probably can't help you today. Yes?
Is this, the energy companies sometimes request that we give extra on our utility bills for renewable sources. Does that, any of that money come to you?
No, it does not. We only receive the money during that 3-year period.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Every utility in the state is required to have a green program, a renewable program, and many just ask for money when enough money has been accumulated. They say they'll build a wind turbine somewhere. This is not one of those programs. Anything else?
Were you part of the wind turbine project up in North Iowa around Highway 18 to the border?
We have not been involved in any of the large commercial-scaled wind farms. We have been involved in all 3. There's 2 constructed and 1 under construction, all 3 of the community wind farms. If you'd like to know more about that, talk to Ed in the back. But the community wind farms are owned by individuals, not by big corporations. Big corporations don't need $250,000. Individuals do. Anything else? If not, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your weekend here.